And that's it. We're live. I don't know why I'm always excited to say that. It's like I got to,
Well, it is exciting.
yeah. I realize my lighting's looking a little rough here. So I ditched the podcast studio and I've been doing the podcast at home. Why not, right? Here we go.
Mhm.
A little better. So San Diego coming at you and Chicago coming at you.
A little bit nicer in San Diego than Chicago today.
Yeah, I think I made people a little mad the other day when I posted the sunset here. My husband was in his flip flops, and I think I may have made some people mad.
At least incited a little jealousy.
Yeah, yeah. But I put my time in. I'm originally from Ohio. I put in almost 30 years, and the day that we moved, I was shoveling the car out of the snow, and that was really reinforced my decision.
Well, I said many years ago that I needed to be on a beach someplace, and yet I'm still here. So go figure.
Yeah. It's funny working with deck builders because I'm always talking about like basically each quarter there's a little bit of a different strategy because of the way people are purchasing for a luxury outdoor living space. And in the winter, I'm always like, people are researching, man. I know from the data, but I also know from experience because when it was 0 degrees, 10 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio, with lake effect snow, you walk outside and you're like, all you're doing is like dreaming about what vacation you're going to go on or, what you're going to do in the summer and how you're going to enjoy being outside.
Yep, exactly.
Well, let's get to it. We got a couple of people here, hoping some more folks come on. And as always, if you are listening in, make sure that you ask some questions, give us some feedback. We don't always want to just be here talking. I know it's a podcast, but we love the interaction. I think that's what makes ours super special. So, all right, let's get to it. So, hey, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the We Love Deck Builders podcast. We are your go to space for real conversations, real strategies, and real stories from the leaders shaping the deck building industry. I'm April Edwards, owner and growth strategist at Deck Builder Marketers. We are your number one partner for success. I can talk, I swear, in the deck building industry. We don't just manage your campaigns, we drive your growth and we help you dominate and we ensure your thriving success. Today, I'm super excited to have Michael from Boswell and Associates. We're doing something a little different here, and I hope you guys like it. He has years of experience helping businesses design showrooms that do more than just look good. They drive sales and boost ROI. He's here to share his expertise on how the right showroom design can improve your client experience and help your deck building business stand out from the competition. And so, anyway, Michael, welcome to the show. I did
Thank
want to
you.
do a little introduction as to how you got here. So, Pool Spa and Patio and Deck Expo last year.
Mhm.
I try to go to a lot of sessions because, sometimes I kind of look at, being in this space, being, a growth partner for builders, like a kind of a catalyst sometimes where, I can connect people and so on and so forth. Kind of like if Lainey's here, the Duchess of Decking, she's definitely like that. She was my first career crush when I came into this space. But anywho, I'm ranting. So I sat in on one of your sessions because I wanted to learn from you and figure out how to coach and consult my clients on getting a better return on investment with their showroom. And I was thoroughly impressed with your presentation and, of course, introduced myself afterward and, gave you a high five on a job well done. And here we are today.
Yep.
So always like to start to, just kind of introduce yourself and your background and, how things have evolved in your career to be doing what you're doing now.
Well, I've had a circuitous, career. The current, business I started back in 2006, so we are heading into our actually March will mark 20 years that this business has been going,
Mhm.
and we work in a lot of different aspects of things. So. Boswell Associates is the primary business, but yeah, it works at consulting, marketing, advertising. It's basically like an advertising agency and a business services agency in
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
and we're focused on independent business owners, entrepreneurs, startups is
Mhm.
our focus. Uh, we have a division that is a visual merchandising company where we work with manufacturers and distributors and retailers for either POP programs or working with retailers, store design, whether it's, starting with a clean sheet of paper or taking an existing retail space and making it look, new and exciting. And obviously the whole point of is to drive sales.
Yeah, so I think you know a thing or two about a thing or two, right? Being in the industry for a while, and it sounds like you've kind of branched out into, other ways that you could really support your people, right?
Well, the whole idea was to be a one-stop shop.
Mhm,
So this way, instead of having to deal with multiple vendors to have the store looking the way that it needs to drive sales, somebody can call us, and from say the design to photo and video to website, store design, all of it, we can
mhm,
do completely in house.
mhm. Yep, love it, and I call that solution-based service, right? Not just like
Exactly.
providing.
That's
Yeah,
how, we present it. We are solutions providers.
mhm, yep,
Because everybody, yeah, in business, everybody, that's in business is excellent at the skill or the trade that they have.
mhm,
It's all the peripheral stuff that you have to do in business that's a pain. So, and that's where we come in
mhm.
because, we can't build decks, we can't install pools or spas. However, we know how to drive sales of those products. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's a important lesson to stay in your lane, do what you're good at. I've been preaching to, my guys lately how, it's interesting how AI has kinda shifted things,
mhm.
and AI wants authenticity because that's what people want. And so I've been kind of preaching that I feel like things are back to the 80s where it's really about developing those relationships, partnerships, and being clear in your brand positioning. And so I'm like, stay in your lane, guys. Like, let us handle your systems and your marketing. We'll grow your online presence and your brand. And you get out there and meet people and build those connections because that's going to help, all over the board, offline, online, and stuff like that. So I'm sure you've been in the industry long enough to see the cycles of change, huh?
Well, the thing that, you know, permeates every cycle is the fact that all business comes down to the relationship.
Mhm,
Yeah. No matter what type of business you have, if you, can build a relationship with the customer to where they are comfortable with you, they trust you, they know you do good work. If you'll be there when you say you're going to be there. If there's an issue, you take care of it. Those things, it doesn't matter what decade we're talking about. If
mhm,
you can fulfill those, then you're in.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
The
it sounds so easy, but I think a lot of deck builders are artists and craftsmen, and so we all gravitate to what we enjoy the most.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
see, but that's where, yeah, when you are a craftsman and you can build, an incredible deck, the Taj Mahal of decks, if that's what the customer wants, uh, that's great. I'm jealous of anybody who can do that because I can't,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
but you still have to do the business side of it. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's where we come in. So.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let's get to it. Oh, one thing I did want to say is what I admired a lot about your presentation was just the psychology behind everything. And I think people kind of take that for granted. And it's just one of those things that if you could recognize it and be intentional about it, you're going to be able to connect with people at a much deeper, more meaningful level and way. And so, let's get into it. Let's talk about showrooms. What do you think, what display strategies do you think work best in deck builder showrooms to showcase their materials and designs? And of course, at the end of the day, drive conversions, which is a fancy word for saying sales.
Exactly. Well, the you have to satisfy both the logical and the emotional side of the purchase, uh, because it's not an inexpensive investment. It's also an investment that people want to last a long time. So having the materials in the showroom, obviously, it's very difficult to build an entire deck and have multiple examples of decks in your showroom, unless you're fortunate enough to have a showroom large enough to where you can do a portion of different ones. However, being for people to appease the sensory, aspects of it, okay, are the materials you're using going to last a long time? Are they durable? Do they look good? I don't want, the uh, to a have materials that don't reflect the value or the status of the house that you're building it at. So being able to show, okay, we have these different materials to choose from based on your home. These materials would complement your home the best. And then you can give the people the choice. Okay, this material will last X, has a lifespan of this, and then this one has this, and then they're the ones that can choose what you're doing, but you're presenting them all the options that they have, which in turn, getting back to the psychological aspect that you mentioned, to the customer, that shows that you are concerned about their investment. You know,
Mhm,
where you can say, okay, if within this budget, here's the materials that would work best, but know that for X amount more, this material will last, X longer, if that, if, the case. And of course, obviously, depending on where in the country you are, if you're in Chicago area by us or in Ohio, those winters can be brutal. So that deck is taking more, weather abuse than if you're in San Diego.
mhm. Yeah. Um, so our guys, they bring samples to the prospect's home, and it's nice. I mean, they could see the quality and all of that, but the showroom is just next level, being able to really experience the experience, if you
Right.
will. Can you kind of speak to maybe some strategies and things that you can consider in order to, accomplish having them kind of feel what their space would look like?
Well, that's where, having install photos is so important. And I always stress with, people, uh, get multiple angles when you're getting install photos, because what happens is, especially for folks who use them on social media, if you take a picture from the same angle every time, after a while they kind of blur, and
Hmm.
anybody who's going through is scrolling, that thumb is just going to skip right past what they think they've already seen.
Hmm.
So make sure you get install pictures from every angle that you can. Uh,
Hmm.
at the very least, it's going to give you a much bigger collection to choose from to keep your social media feed uh, fresh.
Hmm.
However, there's especially like on the craftsmen, the for the guys who are building unique decks, getting close-up shots showing the craftsmanship of it, or unique angles or unique cuts or what have you, uh, that speaks volumes to people, showing, because it tells them this is the amount of care that they are dedicating to building my deck.
Hmm.
So that offsets, the fear or the lack of trust that they have if they're into an unknown situation.
Hmm.
So photos are a fantastic thing that needs to be done.
Hmm. So I want to jump ahead here a little bit because I think what's really interesting with you is you work with retailers and manufacturers. So manufacturers would hire you to help them figure out how to get the best return on investment with their displays, right? So it's really cool because this guy is, he's helping these guys help you, which
Mhm.
is really interesting. So, what I guess let's kind of jump to it. Like, what type of design do you think that a deck builder should consider in their showroom to maximize sales?
Well, one of the things that we always do, we operate with a philosophy of purchase once, reuse often with it. And for deck builders who are also doing home shows or offsite events, yeah, we like doing displays in the showroom that can be taken to those locations. So portability, small footprint, yeah, those are all very important with it. So, for example, we do in our POP programs, we do a lot of retractable banners. Uh, that are say because that way you can use it in the showroom. You can
Mm,
show alternate just designs on one display, but you can take it from the showroom and toss it in the truck and go
mhm.
to the offsite event easily. So this way, not only are you getting it using it in the store, but or in the showroom, but also offsite as well.
You talked a lot about lighting in your
Mhm.
session. Do you want to speak to that a little bit and how that can make a big impact?
Yeah, well, with lighting, uh, the brighter the light and the higher Kelvin, yeah, uh, the whiter the light is going to be. So a warm light is like if you go in and you look at uh, T5 light bulbs, you'll have 3200 Kelvin, you'll have 5000 Kelvin, 10,000. The higher the number, the whiter and the more sterile it will look inside your showroom with that. Now, there's places where you definitely want that 10,000 Kelvin bright sterile light where it's almost like a medical facility. Uh, but then there's also points where you want it to be warm because everybody wants, the whole point of having that deck is to, have family and friends. There's a warmth, to that. So in areas where you're showing, deck samples or what have you, you want to make sure your showroom has that warm light. In an area where you want people to see the detail of what you're doing, that's where that bright 10,000 Kelvin light comes into play.
Interesting. I just posted for anybody that is here live, post pictures of your showroom in the comments and we'll check them out. And maybe Michael could give you some feedback and some ideas to improve it. I think that would be really cool. So please, please, please do that. Um, so what about just different type of like the journey when somebody walks in, what type of ideas do you have, like starting from that initial opening the door
Yeah,
experience?
well, you basically want to take them on the journey. And what one of the biggest mistakes that we always see is people will put a bunch of stuff up right by the front door. And it's like they want to show them everything soon as they set foot inside. And that's the last thing you actually want to do because what it ends up doing is it basically ends up building a barricade. And, people, as soon as they get there, like, whoa, this is, visual overload, or they feel like they can't get to the other part of the showroom.
Mhm.
So you want to, lead them, basically build a path, if you will, to lead them to the places that you on this each step of your presentation as you're doing it. So if you design your showroom, do the layout built around your presentation for
Mm.
new people, uh, then that will allow you to take them step by step. You can educate them as they go through. You can answer all the questions that they have with it. So that's a good basic approach.
I love it. I'm really interested, guys, if you're listening, who took that approach when you built it? I really would love to hear from some of the listeners that are live today. what your process has been like to get your showroom. And I did want to share one tip. I always tell this because I just think it's brilliant. But one of our clients, O'Keefe Built, they take their reviews, their online reviews, and they print each review out, and then they put it in a frame, and then they have a whole wall that's full of their reviews, which really reinforces the trust that their clients have in them. And even if you're not reading them, which I'm sure people do stop and read some of them, just seeing the abundance of the reviews is really cool. I've also seen some showrooms where they have like the vinyl backdrop pictures of the area, right? Like what the actual environment looks like in your location, whether it's like a backyard with the forest or, a desert oasis. It just kind of depends. And I think that really has to help a lot too, to really paint the experience.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things that you want to have is whether it be through social media, online advertising, whatever methodology you're using to promote the business, have those same images in the showroom. So if you've done a promotion, make sure that promotion is visible as soon as people walk in the door, because that's what brought them there in all likelihood in the first place. So doing so, you're confirming what enticed them to come to your showroom to begin with. So now that puts the customer at ease that, yeah, you do in fact have what they came there for.
So I'm sorry. Sometimes I get distracted. I feel like I've been doing this a lot lately. So if anybody's listening, just know I'm doing a couple of things here at the same time. But we got a bunch of comments that came in. And so Bobby said this earlier. He said, a lot of great points about photographs. Seems like deck builders need to start thinking like content creators and influencers, which I swear
that is 100% correct. And yeah, we've always been in a visual world, but nothing like now. And it's only going to become more so because, as the, deck buyer demographic, ages, we're going to be at a point where the people buying them have known social media their whole life. So to them, it's all just second nature. See, having, well done photos. Not saying everything has to be, you have to hire somebody to come out and do a photo shoot for it, but understanding the basics of photography as far as framing a shot, and as I said before, multiple angles, and you want it to be as complementary to your work as possible. So the more that you can do that, and the images that a deck builder puts on their social media or their website or what have you, again, those images need to be visible in the store, so that people can see it. Because once again, you're confirming what brought them in, the customer in the first place.
So I was at Futurescape up in LA in December, first week of December, and the conclusion from some conversations and some different panels was that there's a younger demographic now surfacing now, and so I'd say we're in that transition. The census was about 50% of prospects and clients don't even want to talk on the phone. And they want self-service options. They want to determine who they're going to work with before they ever get on the phone. So I would challenge and say that the time is here. And I think that we've seen the world continues to speed up, right? I'm 44, and I've seen some changes. I've been in the industry for 20 years, and I started when, it was all about, e-commerce on the web and stuffing keywords. And I've seen so many changes. And in this last year, it's been insane how fast things have changed, how homeowners are, their purchasing behavior has changed. The competition is different. Expectations are much higher. So you definitely have to be a very solid business and promote, what you do and make things very easy for people, in comparison to times in the past. Now, I'm looking on our website because we do, if you go to, and here I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let me figure out how to do this. And for anybody listening, we have our growth hub on the website. You just go to the website and you'll see the link at the top there. But if you go to the Growth Hub and click on all resources, you'll find this. But there's also a link for guides and workbooks. We have a deck photography tips download that you can get. So just to kind of reinforce the importance of what Michael was saying here, you can check this out. And if you are a client, we have our Success Hub where we have even more tips on drone footage and things like that. So just kind of wanted to promote that to give you guys the resources you need. And Tommy's got a good question here. So, or no, he's letting us know about his showroom. So Tommy's from Solid Ground. Still laying out the floor plan, but definitely planning for the journey through the showroom, leading clients through the space, planning for a destination space to sit and discuss their project after a full walkthrough of the showroom. Maybe you have margaritas, Tommy, and like a little a little fire pit and a table that's like on a deck. I got to go to Advantage Lumber in Florida and Sarasota, beautiful Sarasota, and they have a deck outside, so they have a whole deck outside that people can check out and experience too. And then I was telling you, Michael, how I spoke with someone, and for the life of me, I can't remember who it was, but they actually built a deck on the roof of the building, and they were positioned. The location was by a freeway that there's a lot of traffic there, so the location is really important, and so people could actually see an outdoor living space from the freeway on the roof of the building, which I thought was pretty genius. So
absolutely.
Let's see. Bobby says, great question, April. I was thinking the same thing. What do you want them to see first? Awesome. We've got a lot of great comments here. So, Silhan Jeff, if you want to let us know what your name is and what company you're from, that'd be great. Let's see. So I've done all of the above, but I'm not sure how to post a photo here, but everyone can check out the new issue of Deck Specialists to see our showroom. Jen, if you want to try and find that, maybe I could share my screen. And so Jen helps in the background. She's the logistics of the podcast. So Jen, if you could find that, I'll show it so that everyone can see if you are tuning in. And I thought you could upload pictures to the post. So I'm sorry, guys, if that's not possible. Bobby says, as the deck builder ages, I think about this every time I see a deck with steps, but no deck railings. Yeah. Pretty cool. All right. So what are the most common mistakes that hurt conversions, and how can deck builders avoid them?
They're the same for every retailer. Putting too much stuff in too little space, where it just becomes overwhelming. Less is more. This way, you have to, first off, there's a question like, what do you show first, in the showroom? Every retailer, deck builder, pool spa, whatever, has to build their showroom based on their customers. Build it around what, keeping track of, what do you sell the most? And then what are you not selling as much as you would like? Yeah. That you need to make that the focal point of the entranceway. So this way, in addition to having to add pull through, confirming what brought those people in the first place, but building your showroom around what your existing customers have asked for, what you've done, what you had to do to appease the questions and concerns that they had, is going to be pretty common, among all the buyers. So if you can build your showroom around your customers, what they've asked for, what their concerns are, you've already got half the battle done. Because if it works for the majority of your existing people, odds are the new people who come in are going to have similar or the same concerns.
Yeah. Makes me think that your more expensive materials and luxury features you kind of have at the entry point, right? And so you're painting like what, like the big picture of what, could be in, for that first impression.
Right. Well, a deck is an aspirational purchase. Yeah, and everybody has their vision of being on the deck with family and friends, having a drink, enjoying the weather, what have you, having fun, relaxing. So, creating or recreating, if you will, all those desires that the customers have, or for their deck, as many and as much of that you can create in the showroom is a win. Because
Mhm,
when they come in, and if you have space for a sample deck and you have drinks available, I know you were joking before, about having margaritas. Some places you could do that, some places you can't. But
mhm.
if you get them in and you're giving them a taste of what they're dreaming of once they have their deck, that goes a long way. Not only that, but having drinks available of any kind is a good thing, because the longer somebody stays in the showroom, the more apt they are to spend money.
Yeah, it makes me think like you should entertain them in a way that they would entertain people if they were in their, on their new deck.
Exactly, because everybody has, when they come in, they know what they want the experience to be once the deck is built.
Mhm,
So the more that you can create that, yeah, and in qualifying the customer, if you talk to them on the phone, you set up an appointment. When you're talking to them, find out what their desires are, what their goals are, if you will, for that deck. And then when you have that appointment, when they come in, have those things ready to reinforce that you can provide what they're looking for.
yep, very good. I'm interested to know a little bit more about how you feel the showroom strengthens their brand as well.
Well, as far as the showroom is a uh, great way to create and then reinforce the brand. If you go into and not the showroom has to reflect the type of business. And I've had people come to me and say, well, I don't have a very fancy place, I've got this. It doesn't have to be fancy. What it
Mhm,
has to do is represent you, the way you run your business. uh, and there's some people who will turn their nose up at a business that doesn't look like a big retail, upscale luxury retail store.
mhm.
That's just the way it is. However, you have to know your market. If you're in an upscale area, obviously having a down and dirty approach probably not going to work as well as having a nice semi upscale presentation with it. But depending on where you are, who your customers are, uh, what approach you choose to take with it, that dictates the style and design of your showroom, the presentation of it. So but whether you do a sawdust on the floor, down and dirty type presentation, or a high end luxury presentation, you have to present your work, your skill, your craftsmanship, the quality of the products, the pricing, all that in a clear, concise way that the customer can immediately see and grasp.
I'm distracted here because I have the Deck Specialist magazine here and Jeff Silman from Custom Deck Builders. Thank you so much for, I need to ask people this more often, like say your name and your company when you post so that I don't have to say your handle. But his website is customdeckbuildersllc.com. And I've got the Deck Specialist magazine here, trying to figure out what page the photos are. Everyone can check out the new issue of Deck Specialist magazine to see our showroom. So I wonder, by the way, I'm a regular columnist here, if you guys didn't know. Okay, pages 22 to 23. So for the listeners, I'll do my best to explain what I am showing here. But if you don't have a subscription to the Deck Specialist magazine, it's free. You get a free magazine sent to your home, and they have this digital version, which I'm going to scroll through here so you can see. Let's skip to page 23, you said? Let's see here. Custom deck. Oh, okay. Custom deck builders. You can see on the left here, he's got some wolf decking when you first come in, some samples. He's got a nice Trex layout. It looks like as soon as you walk in, and you could probably see it from the door, there's an install. I'm curious to know what materials that is, but there's a deck with some railing and a pergola. And then he's got some curved railing, which really invites you into the space, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. And then there's another deck install with some inlays by that. And then let's see, he's showing meeting space, and there's a lot of pictures of some of the work that they've done, framed, all nice and cohesive in the showroom as well. So they're continuing to paint that experience. So I'd say pretty well done. Do you have any feedback?
I think it looks great. Yeah. One of the things, like seeing the railing there, and having the curve in it is great, because
Mhm.
it doesn't come across as a barrier per se.
Mhm.
However, using railings, if you have it divided into like different product categories or what have you, using railings to divide each product category is a great way to show the different railing styles that you can offer, while
Mhm.
also separating the categories within your showroom.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. I'm actually pretty impressed with how much they were able to put in this space. I mean, like from this angle, it doesn't look like a huge showroom, but of course, we're only seeing one part of it. And you said not to cram things, but I would say this is pretty well done.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a very nice showroom, very, very
Yeah.
well done. Uh,
Mhm.
because you've got plenty of open space. I always, use the analogy. It's kind of like looking at a printed piece, and you've got to have enough white space, on the printed page, to where it doesn't look like it's just all crammed in there. It's the same thing with this showroom. If it feels like it's, you're having to turn sideways to get through places, that's not going to help sales.
Yeah. So this is awesome. How relevant, right? We've got
Mhm.
a column in the most recent Deck Specialist magazine. It shows showrooms for custom deck builders, rock solid builders. I can see they're talking about Mitchell Constructions as well. Nice little plug here with Jeff, who I currently have up on the screen here. For Jeff Silman, owner, Custom Deck Builders LLC, who currently runs one crew out of Shrewsbury, PA. Professionalism drives everything about this 2,700 square foot appointment only showroom. Located in a business park, the space serves as a closing tool during the sales process. Review designs at a conference table, looking at proposals on a large monitor within the conference room. I saw that. In selecting Trex and Versatex products, he says bringing clients to a commercial location sets him apart from smaller competitors, it's a perceived value.
Mm.
They see you as a professional company. And so just giving you a little plug because you're here, Jeff, but there's some other folks in here as well. We've got Rock Solid Builders. They have a lot of open space. And then I did want to show, so I like Pro Built here too. The lighting is really nice. It gives you that night feel. And even with Trex has their logo illuminated. It's a whole wall, very easy to distinguish the different boards. And then again, another small little install with some curved railing and the, I'm sorry, guys, my Bobby's here. Bobby, you tell me what these are called. He's my copywriter and he knows more than me, but the caps on the posts with the lighting. And then this right here, if for those that are looking, and I'll do the best to explain for the podcast, but Pro Built Construction, they have an outside install with a pergola. It almost looks like a louvered pergola, a little Adirondack chair, and a fire pit. So that would be pretty cool to invite them to, to sit there on a nice day and, you know, chitty chat about their options. So any other feedback from anything that you saw here that you want to bring up?
Well, in the photo of the Pro Built space, the accent lighting is really well done. And that's lighting is one of the things you're basically painting with light is what you're doing. And that's a way to create to accentuate an upscale look or to create an upscale look without a huge cost.
Yeah, really good. And so when he's talking about that accent lighting, there's blue illuminating from the back of the Trex wall installation. Plus, there's a whole wall that's just, and it's, man, this is sexy. So there's a whole wall behind the smaller install of the deck that has their logo in metal, 3D metal. And so it really reinforces, and it's the same, if not bigger than the Trex logo. So it's not just about like, you know, cognitive overload, having to make all these decisions with all this stuff. Like it's so fluid. And it really reinforces the quality just with the way that this is put together that you could probably expect from what they provide. So really good example, Pro Built. And everyone's got a good example here. So anyway, definitely check out Deck Specialist Magazine. I think the URL is, deck-specialist.com. And you can sign up for their magazine for free, which is great. So, all right. Well, any final words of wisdom, or do we have any additional questions here? Nope. Any final words of wisdom? Oh, wait, here we go. Sorry. Jeff is here. I knew he was going to say something. So he said the small deck is Wolf PVC. The curved deck is Trex Transcend. Not shown in that photo is an overhead elevated deck, so you can see framing options, ceilings, rainscape, etc. Plenty of photos as well. Good job. Really good job.
Yeah. Nicely done.
And then Bobby, he fixed me here. I always tell my guys that my copywriter could probably build a deck because he's written about it so much. And I'm not as in the know as him, but he said that those were called lighted deck post caps. And he said, I'm just getting back from a meeting, so missed some, but do manufacturers provide the samples? I was wondering after looking at the Trex wall. They do. Manufacturers take care of you guys. And if you're not tapping into those resources, make sure that you do. They'll send you, obviously, you know, they're going to send you samples, but they will do the install and pay for what you need in order to promote their products within your showroom. So just take advantage of the resources that you have. You know, I mean, it's to their benefit. They'll get the pull through with that investment. And they'll pay for some of your marketing, guys. So if you're resistant to get started on growing your brand and visibility and stepping into 2026, hit them up. And then Jeff says, thank you. So, All right, Michael, it's been great having you. Do you have any final words of wisdom? Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think would be really helpful for these guys?
Yeah, the main thing is your showroom reflects you and your business. So the image that you want to create and the impression that you want to give, whatever approach you're taking to the business, uh, your showroom needs to reflect that.
Love it. So I want to do a little plug here. And so you can, so this is Michael Boswell of Boswell and Associates. He offers strategic marketing and consulting, and you can learn more about him at boswellagency.com. If anybody wants to reach out, is there a different way to connect with you other than the
Oh,
website?
they go. The website is probably the easiest way. All the contact information is there. Um, we work with everybody. So and for us, every every story is a challenge. You know, the bottom line is everybody wants to increase sales, but how you do it is all a case by case way. What works for one person doesn't work for somebody else. So uh, the thrill comes from being able to uh, be the solutions provider.
I love it. Solutions provider. And that's what you and I are. We should high five right now if we were in the
There
same
you go.
So Jeff said, shout out to Pro Built Construction too. Yeah, seriously. And then Bobby said he cannot build a deck, but I will challenge you. I bet you can build a deck. After all the copy you've written, he is the subject matter expert. So again, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you sharing your insights today. It's so clear that showroom design is key for deck builders to showcase your work, drive sales, and leave a lasting impression on potential clients. I really like the idea of kind of inviting them into the space right away. You had some really good ideas. I hope that everyone leaves with some good takeaways. If you are looking to transform your retail space, if you're a manufacturer looking to, get more product pull through with your installs and showrooms, connect with Michael and the team at Boswell and Associates. I told you I can talk. I swear I can talk. Look, I'm so ADD today. We gotta, let's see. Bobby said, we are hiring if you want to give it a shot. Oh, Tommy. Tommy told Bobby they're hiring. You're so sweet. For those of you listening at Deck Builder Marketers, we help deck builders create marketing systems that attract the right clients and give you more control over your business so you can stay focused on what you do best. If you're ready to create a marketing system that actually works for you, book your free consultation with me at deckbuildermarketers.com/growth. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, follow, and leave us a review. It helps us reach more deck builders, and it truly means a lot to our team. Now, we finally have the events page on the website. So it is deckbuildermarketers.com/events. If you go there, you're going to see any events that we go to, any conferences. You're going to see all of the upcoming podcast episodes, who's going to be on and when. We are doing the podcast weekly on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you could also go to welovedeckbuilders.com and you could add all of the podcast episodes to your calendar so that you do not miss one. And again, you could also see what podcasts we have coming up. And if you're interested on being on the show, you can also apply to be on the show at welovedeckbuilders.com. So I guess that's all we have for you today. Please provide us feedback, keep showing up, and as always, keep moving forward. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.